So good morning again. It's the two of us back here. I've missed our chat when you've been doing it solo.
To be fair, I was surprised how I managed to, produce something. It's very strange talking to an empty screen, but I'm very much grateful that we're back together.
I liked it. You don't need me.
I do. It's lovely. I like how we just, we start here and we end here.
Who knows where it takes us? But my topic for this week, on a few of the forums that I'm on Facebook, I see time and time again about therapists like saying how they're not as busy as they would like, and they'll be like in panic mode, like, oh, how's everyone else doing? Like, I've had a really quiet month. Even to the extreme where they're thinking of taking on another job and just having nails or brows or lashes or whatever they're doing within the beauty industry is like a side hustle because they're just not getting the clients in for whatever reason. And I know that you have a wait list, you're fully booked for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I thought today we could talk about how to build a client base, keep a client base, keep them coming back for more and keep building on it if, replacing any that do drop off. So if someone's new to the business, let's start with that. If we were brand new to the business, looking to build a client base, where would you start?
So I'll start by saying that I am very privileged and I know how privileged I am that I'm busy. I do know it's a hard time at the minute. Beauty's hard anyway, let alone in the current circumstances. So I just wanted to say I'm very grateful if any of my clients are watching. And maybe wanting to go into the industry. It can seem quite strange when you go onto the forums and you do see this mixed review. What I would say for me, and I've never been any different in how I have approached things. Even before sugaring, I still did hair removal. So our hair grows roughly every 30 days, which would then indicate that our clients need to be coming in every 30 days, which then means that they need booking in. And if hair removal is their thing that they're wanting to get into, I've just always taken it upon myself to sort of say, you're wanting to maintain, you're wanting to get the results. Let's get you booked in. There is nothing worse than needing to be booked in for something, forgetting 6 weeks have passed and you need to be in here and now. And then before you've known it, it's then too late. An event's come up, you're hairy, you have to shave. And I think I've always just sort of I've tried to paint the picture. That's what I'm trying to say. I try to give my clients everything. So I like to talk to them about their growth patterns. I like to tell them what they're going to expect in their treatment, how it's going to look, how it's going to feel. And I like to paint the picture of everything. They have all this information. And then I suppose, yeah, I don't know. I've lost where I'm going with it.
No, that's it. Do you know, it's something that I think it is it's been in the salon for quite a while. It seems obvious now to book people back in. But I remember when I first started,
Hmm.
I wasn't doing that. I was so happy that someone had come through the door.
Yeah.
And it was when I was doing nails at the time, and they'd like the nails and they'd go off and I'd be like, oh, thanks very much, and take payment. And I was too scared to ask them to book back in case they were like that fear of rejection, in the case they were like, no, thanks, you're all right. I'm not keen on them, or I don't like them, or I don't like you, or I don't like the room. I was so frightened. So someone said to me like, and then when people were trying to book back in and they couldn't, like the penny dropped. And someone said to me, you need to ask, you need to say to someone,
Yeah.
you'll be due back in, if it's nails, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. If it's hair removal, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Let people know and give them the option. Say, would you like to book your next appointment now? Because we
Yeah.
may not have your preferred slot nearer the time. And I will need to see you again in 5 weeks. And just that question, like before they leave, you're offering them a service. You're not pushing them into booking with you again. You're just giving them the heads up. So that's a really good point, actually.
Just to FYI on this video, although my face today is okay, I do have a rabbit that's doing a crazy half an hour. So if you hear and see my face do subtle like freezes, it's because the rabbit is just on one. So really, really sorry.
Bring the rabbit on the camera. We want to see her.
It's just chilling now. So I just was very aware that my face sort of like paused. It's not buffering, it's just the rabbit. So you've just said something about that being the pressure of not wanting to come across very forward about rebooking. And when it comes to services, I'm in my element because I know what the result is and I find it so much easier to talk about rebooking in because I don't see it as a sale. It is a sale, but it doesn't seem the same as like a retail product. I see them as two different things. And I've always spoken about it at the beginning. So, hi, Emma, you're in for leg sugaring today. I know this is something that you want to do. You are here from shaving. So, I'm going to recommend coming for 3 treatments, 4 weeks apart to undo the shave and to really see the results of sugaring. Anything before that, you're not really going to get the full effect. So I've already put in their heads that they need 3 sessions, they need to be 4 weeks apart. Then we do the treatment. And I've spoken to them about maybe the first session, it's not going to feel so smooth. And then, so when they finish and they kind of go, oh, yeah, she did say that. And they've then booked in for the next 2. I've already said it at the beginning, and then we've got this whole chatting and just relaxed vibe. And then at the end, I'll sort of say, shall I get you scheduled in? And, for me, my booking policy is that you can cancel at any time as long as it's a 3 days before. So my clients know that they can get out. They've not had to shell out any money, but they know where they are scheduled. And again, I suppose that for me is another way that booking them in and getting that scheduled slot that they need, and it creates that demand because when one person does it and then 2 people do it and then 3 people do it, very, very quickly my next 3 months of availability have been taken up. And then those that have come in later on to that kind of quarter have gone, oh, I can't get my preferred time. Okay, so these take quickly. And then on the next available sort of opening of the calendar, those who couldn't get the slot that they wanted last quarter, when that date opens, they just kind of go, right, okay. And then it's like a little, it's quite a nice feeling, but it's also hectic. My phone's buzzing and things are going, but it creates that demand. I suppose that's what I've done, created demand within the business.
Yeah, it's that sense of urgency, isn't it, that sometimes you need to put a rocket under people, basically, to say, look, if you don't get booked in, you're not going to get your preferred slot. And something that you were saying there as well made me think about client experience. And that's something else. Is you were talking last time about how you went and had treatments done, and I was thinking about the places that I've been recently in a new city, trying out new salons that I've not been to before. And with mixed feelings about places. Obviously, I wouldn't mention anywhere. But sometimes as a customer, you pick up on, you think, oh, this is a bit dusty, or I don't think that floor's been cleaned for a while, or oh, she wasn't very smiley when she greeted me. I'm not saying this has happened to me specifically, but there's those little things as a customer, especially when you're walking in somewhere new. You might have struggled to find it. You might be feeling a little bit anxious walking through the door. You might not know what to expect or who to meet. You might have forgotten the name of the girl that you're meeting for your treatment. And it's just nice to be welcomed in a clean, organized, professional space by somebody that's approachable, friendly. So I wondered, and looking at your place with fresh eyes as well can help. Like if I was the customer walking into my room, how would they find it? What would they see? What would they expect? What can I do differently? So, with that in mind, could you walk us through what your client's experience might be when they come to see Emma Lou for sugaring?
Okay, so it's really funny because I have a booking system, it's online, and you can view what I see. So if you go on and there's no space, there is no space, there's not a glitch. But so I download both apps. I download it from a client's perspective. And obviously, as my booking system, I, on the system as a client, I'm the worst client on my booking system because I book myself in and I view everything as a client. So every new treatment that I launch, my consultation forms, the booking, so I can physically see that booking process. So I suppose if you are sugaring, I definitely recommend doing that just as like a little side note. It's so helpful to run through it yourself. But on a client side of things, it's I think blah, blah. There's always going to be a moment when I do this. It's called the guest service journey, and it starts from the moment that that client searches for your name. So first and foremost, the name's always got to be easy and I suppose understandable. So for me, sugaring is what I do. Sweet sugaring is my name. You type it in, and straight away my website comes up, my booking system comes up, my Instagram feed comes up, and what I've tried to do is whether it's my website that links to my booking system, my Instagram links to everything. So if you click on that, that the link in bio, it pops up. It's like, do you want my booking system? Do you want my website? Do you want my shop for all home care, skincare? Everybody at every point has links to everything, and it all sort of integrates to each and every part. And then once you go to book a service, I categorize everything as most of us would: hair removal, skincare, etc. You book in, there's a description of that treatment. There's also the time that is given for how long that treatment's going to take. So already you know what it is, how long. The description of my location is on there as well. And there's also an email address stating, if you've got any inquiries before your treatment, if everything that is already there isn't enough, email me and I'm more than happy to help. And then you get a consultation form. And on my consultation forms, you've got your treatment consultation and the welcome email. I know I've gone to town on this welcome email. If there isn't something in this welcome email that I have not thought about, and it has things like screenshot this part of the consult. And it's like, hi, I'm Emma Lou. I'm your therapist. This is my mobile number. Now, I don't use it. I don't access it day to day. Please don't text me. But if you are in a pickle, you've got it. And it even says, hey, Siri, call Emma Lou at Sweet Sugaring. So if you save, oh, it actually just did. If my clients, it's very easy to just say, here's my details. But I physically put the memo to say, save it in your phone. It's fine thinking, oh yeah, I can pull up the app to call her. But if you are stuck in a 25-minute traffic jam, you can't get to your phone. You can't get into the app. I want it in your phone saved straight away. So all my contact details are there. And then it goes on to the next section, sort of saying, this is how you book, download the app. You can reschedule this way, you can cancel, you can amend. Then the next section, I'm trying to think what's on there. What else is on there? Oh, how to find me, how to get in. So yes, there's a video on my Instagram, but not everybody uses social media. So if this is your first point of call, it's saying, find the studio, you can park here, buzz the door, press and hold it. Every single client that walks in will say to me, oh, I couldn't hear the buzz. And even though it says there is no sound, just press and hold and push, everybody still says it. And it just goes to show that even when you put as much information down as possible, it's not always all going to go in, but it's just making sure that you cover all of those steps. So when they finally find me and they've got to the studio, everything starts to sync and make sense. They're like, oh, these are the steps she was talking about. This is the waiting area. I come and meet them. And then we just walk across the corridor into the room and they sit down, but they've already filled in all their information. They've found me everything for them. They already half know the treatment before they've even sat down. And then I just do a quick recap. I pull up their card so they know that I'm reading what they've done. It's not just, gone off into the multiverse and never to be seen again. We'll talk and chat, ask. And this is the most important thing. I say to them, is there any questions that you have that I've not answered? Is there anything you want to ask at all? That question is never asked. Nobody, for me, do I feel ever says, do you have a question? It's almost just, hi, are you in for this? Do you want to get undressed and on the bed? There's never a platform of a space to just go, okay, you tell me. And sometimes I learn things and then it goes into my consultation form for the next time. So that's where it is like finding me. Lots of forms, lots of information, but in a manageable, bite-sized way.
Yeah, I love that. And it's true that when you ask questions and you ask for feedback, it's so helpful because then you can add it to your frequently asked questions and all of the information is there at your next customer's fingertips. Because I don't know if I'm on my own here, but I get total anxiety about going somewhere new. So
Yeah.
I'm the one that reads all of this information. I want to know exactly where I'm going, exactly when I need to be there, exactly how I'm going to get into the building, where I park. I like to have all of that straightened out,
Yeah.
especially if I'm going to go and meet somebody new and have a new treatment. Like to me, it might sound ridiculous if you're not that way inclined, but to me, that's quite overwhelming. So I like to have like too much information because I will read it and I will get in a flap if I can't find somewhere or and I think you're right in that we do forget as well because we're sugaring day in, day out, and it's just the norm to us. We could do it in our sleep. That if it's somebody's first experience of it and we just usher them into the room, we're like, okay, take your clothes off, get in the bed. And they'll be like, and the amount of times that people had said to me, oh, you don't use any strips. Like, oh, I didn't realize you were going to do it like this. They come and they have no idea about it. So I think it's important not to take any of that for granted, that the whole experience of consultation forms, the questions that you can ask, how much of their clothing they need to take off, which way up or down they need to lay on the bed. Is it face up? Is it face down? Because we know and it's in our head, but they don't know. So it's all about putting them at their ease and making things really, really simple for them.
I this week I had a guy that came in. However, everything that I've just said didn't happen. His partner booked him in, but for a male intimate service. There was no note to say who was coming. I was debating, is it this person in for this service? Is it their partner? I'm not sure, but let's just see what happens. And he came in, so obviously everything started to make sense. It was their first time. We were chatting, and even as simple as, this is the area that I'm going to be sugaring. Do you want all of this? And he's like, totally up to you. And I was like, no, up to you. And he's like, yeah, okay. And just having them in and being able to sort of, for a lot of guys, I tend to find it's usually their first time of any hair removal, especially when it's intimate. And just really starting from scratch and just basically saying, like, yeah, remove everything from your waist down. It's like, do you want my socks on? I was like, totally up to you. It's complete. And it's laughable, but in a nice way. Like it wasn't anything awkward, but sometimes just by having like the guys in, it completely refreshes my outlook on how simplified maybe you do have to describe things. Do they want to keep their socks on? Should they? I'm just checking my rabbit's not eating my cable. So that was really interesting. Again, just by having different genders, age groups in, it really does just highlight maybe what we take for granted each and every day.
Yeah, that's true. And that reminds me actually, male intimate sugaring training isn't on our website or our socials yet, but it will be soon. So if anybody's wanting to train in that, we have that we can add that string to our bow now as well. You can train with Emily. Emily, you'll be taking the lead on that because I've not done it. Not my
Honestly,
area of expertise.
and you know what? People say to me, do you not feel awkward about it? And, I see guys for all services, whether it's been pedicures, massages, skincare, intimate, it's just another day, another person, another butt on the bed. So if you are working on intimate just in general and you want to expand it, there's obviously a few anatomical. And there's a few differences. However, it's equally no different. So if you want any questions before even delving into it, by all means, ask away.
Cool. Yeah, I always say, even though I don't haven't done male intimate, when I'm doing female intimate, I always say whether it's an underarm, a toe, a brow, it's all, a butthole, it's all skin and hair to me. I'm looking at the integrity of the skin. I'm looking to see which direction the hair grows. Like it's just skin and hair, no matter whereabouts on the body it is.
Honestly, the only thing that changes is conversation. Sometimes I have a right laugh when the guys come in. So genuinely, it's just such a good time. I have a laugh with women too, just FYI. But yeah, there's nothing to get worried about or from my side of things. So ask away.
Awesome, thank you. And something else that occurred to me while you were talking about intake forms, socials, how you address. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've looked on Instagram and I've found someone that, I'm interested in. Maybe they're doing aesthetics, whatever it is they're doing. I'm like, oh, I wonder where they're based. And I'm clicking and scrolling and clicking and scrolling, and there's no address on there whatsoever. Like, I don't even know which town they're in. And it's such an easy fix to have that in your bio. So if you don't already have that in there, guys, if anybody's watching this, just double check that you're located, at least the town that you're in, if not the exact address, is really, really obvious, just so that people can book with you if they're local.
It goes back to that exactly. If it's not easy, people aren't going to do it. And I know everything that we've spoken about can sound quite heavy on planning, but in general, we're talking about just being easy to find, easy information, contactable, approachable, and just informative of the service and how to boot moving forward. That's what I should have just started with. That was it.
A couple of times in the past week, actually, different calls that I've been on with other people in the industry and talking about sort of auditing your own socials and looking at it again with fresh eyes from a customer's perspective. Is the address on there? And someone said to me this week is, if I want to buy something from you, how do I do it? How do I buy? Where's the buy now button? I'm in. I love, say I love your company. I love your brand. I love the vibe. I love everything about it. I'm in. Where do I buy? And that occurred to me that I was like, oh, I could make it a lot easier to find the link to purchase a course if somebody really is interested in sugaring. So I've made those adjustments this week. And I think it's, like I said, just important to do a self audit and make sure that all of the information that your customers could possibly need or want is at their fingertips and really, really obvious, because you don't want people having to click and scroll and dig and then just give up.
I know we said we're keeping these ones shorter. However, you've just now made me think, okay, so I saw a really interesting post and it's about keeping your diary full. Social media, we post out images and talk about the services, which is awesome. But that book now, I'm interested, I want it. They say there's a big shift in talking about what it's actually going to do for that person. So it's not saying leg sugar in, it's going to be, it's smoother skin in the summer, less hair, boot now. It's kind of just showcasing exactly what it's going to do for them, not necessarily, it's pain free. Yes, it's reduced pain. Skin integrity is going to be great, but that person who is sick of shaving with the bumps on the legs, they want to know for them right now what it's going to do. So I definitely would say making sure that that social media element is sort of boot now. Give it to me what it's doing for me now. That's what I've started to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. And someone actually, a good mutual friend of ours, Stephanie, described it as because the pain point, I don't really, it feels a bit jarring to sell to a pain point or to, like as in razor bumps or ingrowns or shaving rash or whatever. But the way she described it is people need the painkiller. Everyone knows they should be taking the vitamins. And she said within sugar and the vitamins are clean beauty, eco-friendly, better for the skin, finer regrowth. All of that is great. It's good stuff. Everybody wants that. Of course they do. but they're the vitamins or the vitamins, as she calls it. What's the painkiller? What can we give them that's the painkiller? Ditch the razor over the summer. You ain't going to have to think about shaving every day. Just get sugared. That's the painkiller that people want, kind of thing. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it, when it's everywhere and it's so obvious. But I mean, let's be honest, social media and platforms and algorithms change so often. It's sometimes difficult to work out if you're doing the right thing. But by telling people what this is going to give them is never the wrong thing, whether or not you've posted at 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 7, or it's the weekend or the half terms, doesn't matter. As long as the information that you're giving them is direct to that person and how it's going to change their life, that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I've realized as well, is that you can't give people that message too often. I think sometimes when we're trying to post daily on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, emails, we kind of think that we're spamming people, but then we're assuming that they've definitely seen that post. And we know what Instagram and Facebook are like for strangling reach, that you can't assume that people have seen it, that post about it's okay to sweat during your treatment, or here's what hair growth looks like after 3 or 4 weeks. Look how sparse it is. We feel like we're saying the same thing over and over again, but we're assuming that people see it every
Yeah.
single day, but they're not going to. So we have to it's okay to keep regurgitating that information until it hits the right people.
We literally think that people are sat there going, oh, look what Green and Gold have posted this second. I posted and commented on somebody's post yesterday from 3 days ago, but it came up as if it was like now. And they were like, oh, yeah, that was 3 days ago. I was like, oh, sorry. It's doing my head, and that the information isn't getting out there as far as you think at all. What was I just going to go with this then? You were just saying something, and I thought of a really valid point. Instagram, posting, talking, it's going to drive me insane. I don't know. And I was
I'll have
really,
to write it down for the next installment.
I was so committed, and then I had to say that about the 3 day thing, and then I've now lost it. I'm sorry.
No worries. Well, shall we save it for next time then
Yes, we absolutely can.
and wrap up for today? I've really enjoyed being back.
Oh, I've enjoyed you being back. They're going to be tagging it because there's a few I'm having off as well. So then you're going to be doing the solo talking to the screen.
Yeah, I know. I haven't done that yet, so I'll have to get comfortable with that. So if anyone has any questions,
Yeah,
anything that they want me to talk about, send them in. Make my life easy.
it helps us out a lot. And it just means we're giving out direct information because me and you can chat for forever about anything. So if you want information, ask away. And we're back, but I needed to share this. But having my face on the booking system as the first photo that they see instead of my business logo or the treatments that I do, they said that that's really, really welcoming and that they know who's coming to approach them. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I always look, hairs down and stuff? No. Normally my hair's up for treatment and the photo I've got on there is me in a training environment, but it's still me, it's still my smile. And it just gives them a bit of a vibe of who to see. And even if they can't remember the name, they know it's me that they're meeting. So I thought it was really interesting.
It is because I think thinking about it, I think I do that as well. If I see someone advertising something, I'll have a look, and it is nice to scroll through and go, I wonder who owns this. Like I like their vibe, I like what they've got to say, I like the look of the page, who owns it, who are they? And I don't think you can be faceless in our kind of industry when it's so personal and one-to-one. So yeah, that's a great tip and it's really uncomfortable to have your face out there. I know from doing this that it's took me a long time to get comfortable with doing two camera stuff. But once you start, it's really easy. Like, what was I worried about?
And with that being faceless, so the Instagrids, very often we post again pictures of sugaring, pictures of our products, pictures of a new treatment. But maybe not everybody's like me. Like when I like something, I'm there hook, line, and sinker, and I will scroll through 5 years of history just to see everything. But not everybody does. So if you aren't updating who you are or putting your face out there just to show and talk, it can be again quite not maybe off-putting, but it is nice to see your face. I think they say every third photo should be you. So get used to being behind the camera.
And I need to go onto my Instagram and audit myself now. I'm not on there that often.
And so I tend to do a lot more live talking on my stories. And I used to tend to put more on my grid as treatment and product. However, again, that means someone's got to scroll through maybe 70 posts on my story to find me talking. So, yeah, maybe rather than saying about sugaring. So, okay, so I did a laser game the other day. So I know I offer both types of hair removal, but I jumped on and I said, I've got a client in and I could easily do this for sugaring, but I just said, I'm going to give you three clues. And the first one was, X, Y, and Z. And I got people to engage with me. It's so easy to say, I'm having a client in a minute to do a treatment, and I want you to guess what it is. Um, this is an awesome treatment for people who go to the gym, who are really hot and perspire, and, you know, like to live their best life in the sun. People might think, I mean, we would probably guess it's an underarm, but it could be bikini line. I mean, we still perspire from this area, maybe having that hair gone. It's just getting people to engage, be on the post, see your face, see you chatting and talking about the treatment. So that could definitely be a new little way if you're looking for some way of getting in posting and having you and feeling confident. It hasn't got to be about you and your life story, just maybe literally about what you're doing. You could just be sitting there saying, this is sugar paste. This is what it looks like. This is what I'm using. It could be holding a wax strip and saying, we don't use these in our treatment. It doesn't have to be long. There's so many things to get your face out there. And usually it's me talking into camera. So if I do 50 takes, which I do 50 takes very often, there's nobody else judging you. You can put the final edit out. It doesn't have to take long. So that's my little extra handy tip for posting on social media.
Yay, I like that. Oh, well, thanks for adding that on at the end.
Yeah, welcome.
All righty then. I will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.